Jordan, please take it away.
Hi there. This is Jordan Root from Natural Selection Crystals.
I'm Christina Cho.
We're here to show off a handful of our inventory and talk a little bit about what we do. So we're going to go ahead and flip this camera. So this is one of our cases. This is a pretty standard setup for us for a mineral show. You can see that we feature a broad variety of objects from all over the place. CC and I actually collect minerals ourselves, and as a result, we tend to hand choose a lot of our pieces based on our tastes and what we think is really appreciable in minerals. And if you looked at our collection, you probably wouldn't be able to really pinpoint what that is, but pretty much everything, to be honest. So our plan is to pretty much, kind of go over pieces and talk a lot about specimens. If you do find that you have questions and such after the show, you can always contact us on Facebook. You can find lots of our information on the HGMS website. You can get us on Instagram. You can send us messages. Doesn't matter. We also have a website, nscrystals.com, which we're trying to fill up with more things, but unfortunately, it's a little bit hard to keep things up on the website right now. All right, so we're gonna get plugged into this here setup. If anybody else here follows us on Facebook, you're probably aware that I'm also a mineralogical photographer. We do a lot of photography work. If you're interested in seeing what that specifically entails, or if you're interested in having some of your pieces photographed, please feel free to reach out. We've done a lot of different types of collections of just thumbnails, collections of fine larger objects, all sorts of things. Oh man. All right, so this is our internal setup. This allows us to show off specimens with extreme detail. And you can definitely see a lot of the characteristics of the specimen with our lighting setup, even here with this pretty standard camera. What we're looking at right now is a very unusual fluorite from Illinois. This is actually a Annabelle Leaf specimen, and it's featuring some celestine, which is a little unusual, but what's really unique about this specimen is actually that it is a parallelopipe. You can see the full structure of the parallelopipe in the center of the fluorite. It's kind of this elongated, strange phantom. It's really unusual in this particular piece because this one is also a dissolution specimen. So it's kind of obscured the growth formations and the circumstances in which this specimen has occurred, but it has still made a really beautiful and unique piece. If you've seen us before, you're probably aware of our deep and consistent obsession with fluorite at Natural Selection Crystals. Next up, we have this gold from the Winnecke Goldfield in Australia. This one I find to be particularly exceptional because it has a really nice vibrant color and a really nice composure. Here's the locality. It also has a really aesthetic luster. And then you can also see this contrast between the quartz that is naturally there and the gold itself. This specimen was tested using a specific gravity test, and we've determined that there is 45.9 grams of gold weight, and the rest of the 65 grams that it weighs is the quartz. Next up, we have a unique amethyst crystal from Gabobaseb. And if you give me just a moment, I'm going to make a little backdrop paper here. We use the backdrop paper sometimes when an object is particularly translucent or particularly dark, and we need to see its internal coloration better, but we don't want to backlight it. We just want there to be a brighter medium behind it so that we can identify the internal characteristics. Now, in this format, I can't really zoom in and show you guys all of like the needles and inclusions that are inside of these. I can mostly just kind of give you a broad example of what they specifically look like. But this one in particular actually has really beautiful needle-like inclusions, but its big attractor is the fact that it's this really beautiful, deep purple, gemmy, smoky amethyst from Gabobaseb. We've imported Gabobaseb since 2006, and Namibia in general, actually, since 2006. I love Namibia. Namibia is one of my favorite localities, which we'll probably talk about a bit more extensively here shortly. But in particular, the amethyst from there is some of my favorite. Other, of course, than the Georgia amethyst, which is where I got my start. Next up, we have this really freaking amazing fluorite from China. This is from the Yaogangshen mine. And what's most fascinating about this particular piece is that it has a quartz penetrating completely through it. This is a doubly terminated quartz. And you can see that the crystal actually completes right over the quartz crystal. Now in this instance, you'll notice this specimen is particularly dark. We can't necessarily see all of the internal characteristics in this current lighting setup. So what we're going to do is we're going to shine a light directly into it. You can see this one has really fascinating phantoms. And of course, if you see something that you absolutely love, or if you even just want to see it closer, you don't necessarily have to be buying it. If you just want to see it, want to understand what you're looking at, always feel free to shoot us a message. We can take really nice detailed videos that show off a lot of the characteristics of the specimens a lot more in depth and accurately. Just so we can see those surface textures a little bit better for a moment. This locality is extremely well known for fantastic fluorites. In the realm of fantastic fluorites, here is one of my favorite localities of all time. This is a Gordonsville dissolution corner. These are pretty hard to find, less so a little bit these days, but this particular quality is still particularly challenging to locate. So if you're not familiar, Gordonsville is a shaft that was sunk relatively close to the Elmwood mine, and it is actually, they're connected to each other underground. And they have very similar geologies. They are essentially, in a lot of ways, the same hydrothermal vein, and we get a lot of similar looking fluorites out of them. Sometimes because of the distance, we can distinguish some differences we didn't necessarily see in Elmwood quite as much, but for the most part, you know, it has produced a lot of very similar material. In particular, I enjoy Gordonsville corners that have a particularly yellow core, which we'll show this with a little bit of backdrop so you can see. There is a nice yellow hue to the core of this one. It has really nice glassy faces with really intricate growth helix on the surface. The growth helix is, I don't know how close I can get to this camera and still show it, but the surface texture, the details that you're seeing, once I hit the reflection point. Growth helix to me is one of the most fascinating and beautiful things that a crystal can have. It shows a lot of the growth details, or sometimes in instances it shows the skeletalization details, which is probably what we're seeing here with dissolution corners. We also feature a lot of gem crystals, and we also especially enjoy featuring a lot of thumbnails gem crystals. I especially enjoy this little rocket from Barra dos Salinas. And while we always put most of our really nice thumbnails on these little glass stands, we do have Perkins boxes. So if you would like a Perky box with your thumbnail, you just have to request it and let us know that that's what how you prefer to display your thumbnails. We just enjoy the aesthetic of them being on these little glass stands a lot, rather than putting them in the small plastic boxes. Here is a really lovely ruby from Tanzania. This is another cute little gem crystal, and it's nice and euhedral. One of the factors, though, about this is, of course, that it is extremely fluorescent. Look at that bloody red fluorescence. All really good rubies, well, not really good, but most rubies will fluoresce a vibrant red color like this. And this one in particular has a very lovely aesthetic while it is fluorescing. And if you have not subscribed to Rocks and Minerals magazine, you should, because we will have an article in there about fluorescent photography coming up really soon. We also sell these Convoy S2 Plus flashlights, which is what we use to get a lot of our fluorescents out. So if you're interested in getting one of these convoys, please let us know. All right, apparently it's time to ask if there's any Q&A. It's got a notification for that. Yep, let's hop over onto the case. All right, so I don't know if there is any questions. I don't know how we will receive them. But yeah, so this is.
Okay, so Jordan, if I could just interject here a second. The way people are responding is by commenting on our Facebook live event or Facebook event page. And
Okay, yeah.
this video is live. And I think right at this moment in time, I see 17 comments on there. But you are right. Not many of them are actual questions. Most are just complimenting you for having such absolutely beautiful fluorite specimens. People can't believe it. I'll tell you what, one question that did come in that you can address is they've been asking, okay, so how can they buy from you? And we've been directing them to your tile on our virtual event website page.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it back over to you. So if you could just address how people contact, even though it's on the page, until just address verbally for those just looking at on the Facebook virtual event, how they can contact you, how they can purchase from you, those kind of details. Okay.
Cool. So the best way to get in touch with us right now is through our Facebook or our Instagram. And if you're interested in buying a particular piece that you see, you can always reach out on those mediums and we'll do a personal transaction in that way. We do have also our website, but it does not always have a broad variety of objects on there. You can also, if you're not comfortable using computer or app mediums, you can always give us a call. We do have a phone number up on there, and if you're trying to get, something particular, if you're trying to ask questions, something like that, and you're just not comfortable with computer, you can always feel free to reach out that way. Sometimes you might need to leave a message, but we'll always get back to you. And of course, email is also a great way to correspond, especially if you have longer questions or if you have a lot of uncertainty about what it is you're looking for or anything like that. So yeah, I believe that is pretty much all the ways that we have at the moment.
Okay, so Jordan, let me just ask you one or two more questions, just to reemphasize some things that you have said earlier in your presentation. I'd like you just to restate those now that everybody's seen all the specimens you have there. And that is, so I saw that you had a photography set up. So can you just address or restate, what it is? So do you do professional photography? Are you published anywhere?
Yeah.
So just to tell people about that.
Yeah, for sure. We're actually published in a variety of places at this stage. We have multiple publications in rocks and, well, actually, no, this is our first one in rocks and minerals. We have a couple in Mineralogical Record, and we also did the photography for the Rock Courier collection for the big auction. I don't know if you guys saw any of that, but if you didn't, you should definitely check out Rock Courier's collection because that was some of the most amazing minerals ever. I do paid professional photography. I'll also do media and art photography. We are actually even doing calendars this year. We just got a printing unit so that we will actually be printing off calendars. And also we're doing aesthetic poster prints of mineral specimens, particularly a lot of specimens from our collection and stuff like that, as well as some more famous pieces that we've had the privilege to shoot. And if you're interested in getting your own collection photographed, always feel free to reach out. and talk to us. And if you're not even sure why you would photograph your own collection, feel free to reach out and ask that question, because it's a great question, and it has a very long answer. And it has to do a lot with spreading this hobby and supporting this community, and creating more media and interest for young people, and creating more education and sourcing objects and collections, and creating provenance and history right now. So these are things that are really important to us, especially since we're really driven to build this community and to continue seeing it grow. So please do feel free to reach out if you ever have questions about anything mineralogical.